for viewers who can't be bothered keeping up with the world of gaming, here are the biggest stories from the month of July. Players within the Titanfall community have long known about Titanfall 1's unplayable state due to hackers, which has more recently started leaking into its sequel, making the game intermittently unplayable for the past few months. This all came to a head earlier this month when Apex Legends on PC was made unplayable, with the in-game playlists replaced with the website name SaveTitanfall.com. Players going to the site would then be met with the following message: Titanfall is a beloved franchise by many, and hacker issues have been at rise. The Titanfall community has been begging Respawn to fix this issue for over 3 years, but to no avail. Today this game is still being sold, while being completely unplayable. It's time we speak up. It was quickly discovered that the hacker was not affiliated with the site, prompting many to believe that the original Titanfall hacker may be behind the stunt in an attempt to turn the two communities against each other. This was later seemingly debunked, as a change in messaging appeared to indicate that the hacker was unaffiliated within the Titanfall community. Since then, it was revealed that only 2 developers have been left to work on both Titanfall 1 and 2, meaning if the hackers just happen to be a team of 3 people, the entire Titanfall development team may be well and truly outmatched. In a completely unrelated note, this would however lend truth to a personal theory that instead of developing Titanfall 3, Respawn will instead slowly start to incorporate Titanfall into its Apex Legends live service. Titanfall fans have since become so starved for content that they are literally just pretending that Titanfall 3 exists in a collective shared state of grief. If you, or anyone you know, has been afflicted by this condition, we have a Titanfall playlist to help in the healing process. Speaking of Apex Legends, the new legend called Seer is dropping imminently on the 3rd of August, along with the rest of the Season 10 update. The legend himself has become a hotly contested topic in the community, with some saying he looks like Lil Nas X, others believing he looks like Prince, and more still, making comparisons to William Knight. Even more controversial are his abilities, as it appears that he's a recon character who does his job better than all others currently within the game. I'm personally someone who tends to have a lot more faith in the developers than the average player, so I'm happy to wait to see how things pan out. Apex is my favorite game at the moment, so viewers should probably expect a video sometime after this drops. Earlier this month, Nintendo made a hardware announcement that wasn't quite what fans were expecting. Instead of the long-anticipated Switch Pro, the world was presented with the Switch OLED, Nintendo's mid-cycle upgrade for the original Nintendo Switch. Although the new device comes with a larger and improved OLED display, nicer kickstand, increased internal storage, and improved speakers, it didn't live up to many of the features that fans hoped to see in an upgraded Switch. Upgrades to the battery life, support for Bluetooth headphones, and higher base resolution are notably absent, and when it's priced $50 higher than the original Switch, it's unlikely that this will attract users who already own such a device. With this in mind, as if Daddy Gabe could smell disappointment in the air, shortly after the new Switch was unveiled, Steam announced a handheld of its own, the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is being touted as the gamer's Switch, providing a larger screen and capabilities more closely aligned with a full gaming PC. The Steam Deck will feature a 7-inch, 1280 by 800 resolution, 60Hz LCD touchscreen, custom AMD 4-core, 8-thread processor, 16GB of RAM, and a reported 8 hours of battery life. In terms of raw hardware, the Steam Deck makes the new Switch look weak by comparison, although it's no secret that Nintendo's real strength lies in its intellectual property and exclusive collection of games. However, as you can imagine, the Steam Deck is no slouch in that department either, and when considering that its games library is literally just the Steam store, the handheld will technically have the biggest game library of any other console in history, if you were inclined to give it a console definition. The Steam Deck also isn't above kicking the Switch while it's down, announcing Bluetooth compatibility, as well as the ability to plug into both an external display and mouse and keyboard. The Steam Deck will be released in 3 different models, which are solely differentiated by the storage, starting from $400 for the 64GB version, up to $650 for the much larger 512GB offering. All 3 models will allow games to be installed and played off of micro SD cards, similar to the Switch. The Steam Deck is due to be released holiday 2021. Viewers who want an audio solution that may or may not work on your handheld of choice might be interested in today's sponsor. If you're looking to listen to music on the go, but want something more subtle than a headset made for old-timey pilots, then Raycon's wireless earbuds might be what your life is missing. I've owned my pair of Raycons since the start of 2020, and I've consistently been impressed by the battery that I only charge once every few weeks, the wireless design that cuts out all the bullshit that comes with having strings attached, and the tiny case that can fit into even the smallest of pockets. I won't pretend to be an expert on earbud audio, but with the tick of approval from the likes of Snoop Dogg, it goes without saying that I probably don't need to be. Raycon is really easy to recommend, as not only are they half the price of other premium earbuds, but if you're even 1% unsatisfied, they'll give you a full refund within the first 45 days, with no hesitation. On top of this, going to buyraycon.com/surswag, you'll get another 15% discount for a limited time, or just click on the link in the description like a normal fucking person. Raycon, adapting to the extinction of the headphone jack. Meanwhile, Battlefield is shaping up to be the dumbest and most fun shooter of the year. A sealed copy of Mario 64 sells for $1.5 million at auction, becoming the most valuable game collectible ever, and a remake of the original Dead Space will be coming to both PC and current gen consoles. Ubisoft has had a busy month of July, firstly by announcing that its long-running Assassin's Creed series will be adopting a live service model for its upcoming title, Assassin's Creed Infinity. Viewers will recognize such a model from games such as Rainbow Six Siege, Fortnite, or GTA Online, where instead of producing sequels, developers will instead keep regularly updating the game and generate revenue from in-game microtransactions or battle passes. Players are able to enjoy a game that would otherwise be impossible to be so ambitious, and publishers are able to collect that sweet subscription income that is so sought after in this era of gaming. It's the hope of the developers that the live service mode will allow for a huge variety of settings that have yet to be explored in other mainline titles, and that the locations themselves will be allowed to change and shift as the game gets updated. Theoretically, this could indeed mean that the same locations could live through entire time periods as the maps are updated over the game's life. It's not certain whether this game will be single or multiplayer. However, with the longevity that multiplayer provides, it would be surprising for the developers to not lean into that direction. As a huge fan of the early multiplayer editions of the Assassin's Creed games, I'd play the absolute shit out of something of that nature, but I'm not about to hold my breath. Little else is known about the project, which is still likely several years away from release, as fans wait patiently to see whether the series returns to its roots, sticks with the loose RPG trend of more recent titles, or tries something completely different. With one of the largest teams in the world working on this title, the result will be interesting nevertheless. Ubisoft also seemed to re-evaluate its timelines this month, pushing back the release date of Riders Republic by 8 weeks to October 28th and Rainbow Six Extraction to January next year. I for one am happy for the later release for Extraction, especially as it will avoid going up against some serious contenders in the shooter space, as well as giving the team more time to polish the product for launch. The release date pushback of Rainbow Six Extraction will have given the game almost an entire extra year of development time after it was initially stated to drop at the start of 2021. Almost immediately after the delays, the company also unveiled Tom Clancy's X Defiant, which I greatly suspect will colloquially just be called Defiant. The game falls under Ubisoft's new direction of premium free-to-play titles, and will see teams of 6 compete against each other in both arena and linear game modes, such as Domination and Escort. Players will be able to take over broad roles of damage dealers, healers, tanks, and recon. However, the loadout system seems to be very flexible, with players able to customize their primary, secondary, attachments, and piece of equipment at will. Not much more is known about this mashup of pretty much every game that I seem to like, and no release date has been set, but PC players in the US and Canadian region are able to register for the closed beta on the 5th of August. In a strange situation this month, thousands of PS4s were seized from a Ukrainian warehouse from an operation that was initially thought to be part of a cryptocurrency farm, but was discovered to actually be used to farm FIFA Ultimate Team accounts, to later be sold on the black market. FIFA Ultimate Team is the most milkable cash cow that Electronic Arts have created to this day, generating $1.49 billion in 2020 alone. Ultimate Team allows players to buy packs with real money, which skips the gargantuan grind should the player wish to farm in-game currency. However, although black market currency is officially banned by Electronic Arts, such arrangements still remain a common practice. 3,800 PS4s were seized during the raid, as well as 500 graphics cards and 50 processors. Ultimate Team has long been criticized for its questionable monetization practices, but when the operation could run nearly 4,000 PS4s and still turn a profit, it makes you wonder how many other Ultimate Team farms are still running under the radar. At the same time, 50,000 Warzone cheaters were banned in a single week. Nickelodeon announces its answer to Super Smash Bros. And some pretty fucked up shit happened at Activision Blizzard that we are likely to cover in the regular news. Possibly the greatest story you'll hear this month comes from the War Thunder community. To those not aware, War Thunder is a free-to-play game with a focus on air and land combat, which has a particular commitment to the accuracy of their in-game models. Saying any more would compel me to send the developers a fee for my advertising services, but the main point to get across is that the community is very committed to the finer details. One such player noticed a particular development flaw in the depiction of the British Army's Challenger 2 tank, stating that the in-game model of the tank had a much larger gap between the main turret and the hull when compared to its real-life counterpart. To prove his point, the player proceeded to post classified images from the tank's user manual on the community forums. As it turned out, he was a former British tank commander of this exact model. Mods from the development team promptly reached out to the UK Ministry of Defence to confirm whether or not the images were classified, to which they were told that by continuing to host the images, they would be in breach of the Official Secrets Act and could face up to 14 years in prison. The images were promptly removed and no further action was taken. However, because the classified information can't be treated as valid source material, the developers have opted not to change the design from what it was originally. As far as we can tell, the player who posted the images was not banned from the game, nor has he been taken out by the British Secret Service. In terms of new releases, July saw the release of Monster Hunter Stories 2, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD on Switch, Microsoft Flight Simulator for Xbox, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series. August is set for another solid lineup of game launches, including Psychonauts 2, Lemnis Gate, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Kena Bridge of Spirits, No More Heroes 3 on Switch, Humankind, and New World. Viewers who are interested in anything else this channel tends to make can hit that notification bell, because YouTube very often brands the channel as too spicy for a recommendation. On behalf of the entire news team, have a fucking good one.